All right, today we are diving into a classic fable that's all about two massive egos. We've got one rooster on a dunghill and another one on a roof. And believe me, this story is going to make us ask a question that feels like it could have been written yesterday.
I mean, think about it. You know the type, right? The person who's constantly broadcasting every single achievement, just making sure everyone knows how great they are. But then there's the other kind, the one who's so aloof, so cynical, they just silently judge everyone and everything, convinced it's all beneath them. This story puts them head to head and asks, which one is actually worse?
So let's meet our two protagonists. They're both roosters, and they are both just unbelievably arrogant. But they live in completely separate worlds. One is down in the muck and the mud of the farmyard, the center of attention. The other one, he's way up high, literally looking down his beak at the entire world.
Okay, let's really break these two down. First up, you have the yard cock. This guy is a social superstar, right? He's got an adoring crowd, his crow is like music to their ears, he is the life of the party. And then, you have the weathercock. He's totally isolated up on that roof. He doesn't even have a real voice, just this rusty creak. He is the ultimate lonely cynic. You couldn't dream up a bigger contrast.
And this gets us to the heart of it. This is the real question the fable wants us to answer. It's not about who's more annoying or who you'd rather hang out with. Nope. It's asking who actually provides more value, who renders more service. It's forcing us to look past their personalities and judge them on what they actually contribute.
So let's start from the ground up, shall we? We're about to step into the loud, chaotic, and totally self-important world of our yard cock. You have to understand, this yard cock isn't just a rooster. He's a performer. The way he walks is a dance. The way he crows is music. He is the undisputed king of his little kingdom. And his charisma is so off the charts that his biggest fan is a cucumber growing in the garden. Yeah, you heard me right, a cucumber.
And this just shows you the level of his star power. This cucumber is so completely mesmerized by this rooster's whole act that it literally thinks being eaten by him would be the greatest honor imaginable. Now that is some serious influence.
All right, let's leave the drama of the farmyard for a minute and climb way, way up to the roof. It's time to see how the world looks from the lonely, quiet perch of the weathercock. Now, this weathercock is a really interesting character. The story says that even though he was brand new, he was born old. He just came into existence with his heavy, cynical, seen-it-all-before attitude. He thinks sparrows are pathetic, pigeons are dumb, even birds that have traveled the world are just boring to him. To the weathercock, nothing is new and nothing is special. And this quote, this is his entire life philosophy in a nutshell. It's not just that he's a little picky, no, he thinks everything is stupid. From his high-up vantage point, he has judged the entire world and his verdict is, it sucks. His arrogance isn't loud and showy, it's this quiet, simmering superiority that poisons everything.
And then, bam! A huge storm rolls in and changes everything. It doesn't just bring wind and rain, it physically tears down the fence that separates their two worlds. And suddenly, these two giant egos are about to have their first real encounter.
As soon as the storm passes, who do you think makes the first move? Of course, it's the yard cock, the showman. He struts right onto that dunghill, goes over to his number one fan, the cucumber, and just eats it. Just like that. A happy death, I guess, but also a raw, casual display of his power.
But oh, he is far from done. With his audience of hens and chicks hanging on his every word, he makes the most incredible, most outrageous claim you can imagine. He tells them that he, a male rooster, can lay an egg. And it's not just any old egg. No, this one, he says, has a monster inside, a basilisk.
And just so we're all clear, a basilisk is a mythical serpent whose gaze alone was said to be deadly. So what our yard cock is doing here is claiming he can create a walking, slithering weapon of mass destruction. It is the biggest, most absurd boast you could possibly think of.
And here's where you see the two different reactions. Down below, the hens and chicks, they're terrified, but they are also so proud. They're in awe of this amazing rooster. But way up on the roof, the weathercock hears the exact same boast. And his reaction? Absolutely nothing. He doesn't move an inch. He just sits there seething in his silent contempt.
This moment, this peak of arrogance from both sides, is what brings us to the climax of the story. This is where we find out the final fates of our two roosters.
Because up on that roof, listening to this ridiculous boast,
Something inside the weathercock just snaps. He knows it's all nonsense, but then he thinks to himself that he's just too lazy to lay an egg himself to prove a point. You see, in his mind, the whole world is so beneath him that it's not even worth the effort to prove how much better he is.
And in that exact moment of supreme, do-nothing vanity, he just breaks. He snaps off his post and comes crashing down. His silent superiority didn't lead him to victory. It led to his own self-destruction.
And there it is, the Fables' final verdict, spelled out for us nice and clear. The story takes a side. It says the loud, boastful rooster who is at least doing something is better than the puffed-up, silent critic who did nothing but rust away and eventually break.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. The fable argues that it's better to be a flawed, noisy participant in the world than a silent, perfect critic who never contributes anything at all. So it makes you wonder, where does real value come from? Is it in the things we do, or in our judgment of the things that other people do? What do you think?